This is Richard Cox.
And I'm Sharon Alexander.
And you're listening to the show on RichardIanCox.com. Episode number 10.
Woo!
Ow! Yeah! Woohoo! And assorted other silly... yeah, that's ridiculous. Who starts a show like that? You ever hear that on NPR?
That's
Never.
Good times.
Never.
Good times. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good times. Tell us about your sweaty balls. Now, listen, episode number 10 is a milestone.
Double digits, baby.
Double digits. We're at the beginning of something amazing.
We're at the beginning of something, anyway.
We're at the beginning. Yeah, we're at the beginning of something that will be, followed by something else. Well, this is exciting. Episode number 10, that's one milestone. The other milestone that we've hit is, well, we went over 1,000 last time, but now, as I checked the fan page right before we started recording today on Friday evening, because we saw this week's Walker, Texas Ranger, so we don't need to watch it, we now have 1,243 fans on our fan page, folks.
Woo!
Woo!
Ow!
That's insane. That's so great. I'm very excited that so many people have come to partake in our insanity. Keep inviting. If you like what you're listening to, as we say every week, if you like what you're listening to, suggest the fan page to your friends and suggest the show to your friends. We're making waves on iTunes here. We have a number of people downloading every week. We have tens of people downloading every week. We have sixes of people downloading every week, and it's exciting. We've got some good star ratings on there. I think we're at 5 stars. We're 5 out of 5 for 10 ratings. So 9 gave us 5 out of 5, and that one douche still exists there with a 3-star rating. And we know who you are. Bill Jones of Waverly Place. No, that's ridiculous. It sounds like he's a wizard, and I just totally pulled a name out of my butt and mildly changed it so that Disney wouldn't sue me.
Waverly Place.
Listen, talking about suing people, I'm sure that we will shortly be sued by Monty Python, as Shazza has bowed to pressure, has bowed to the small clamoring she received. And actually, not for nothing, that wasn't a very small clamoring. That was nearly 50 people.
Well, God bless y'all. It was 47 or something. Yeah. And I don't blame people for not wanting to hear me sing.
Oh, no, listen, they do. And to be fair, we only posted that once in the day, and people kept coming back and finding it. So I got to tell you, people want to hear that song. I've heard that song. I think that song is honestly, no word of a lie, the best song I've ever heard. Ever. Sharon and her husband Alan grabbed a hold of that thing, grabbed it by the horns and the nipples, and wrestled it to the ground and stood on it and created something that was insanely awesome. We're going to play it for you right now. So prick up your ears. That sounds dirty, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, do it to them.
In a good way.
Yeah, in a totally good way.
Good
but use
dirt.
protection. Prick up your ears. Listen, and we'll be right back. Was that not the greatest thing you've ever heard? Ever? I mean, ever.
I
Sharon,
cannot sing.
that was fantastic. Listen,
Fun though,
honest to
hey?
goodness,
Fun.
it was so. Who knew I could play the guitar like that?
Well, I did.
Honest to goodness, I shredded on that thing,
This is
and
why
I don't
I'm a
even
little
remember.
hoarse today too, from our big shoe last night.
Well, I don't even remember playing that, so I must have been so rock starred out that I can't remember. I can't even remember, playing any of that. I love it, Sharon. I think it's the greatest thing I've ever heard. If I can figure out how to actually put it up as a standalone MP3 on the Facebook page, then I will. I'm guessing that I'm going to have to put it up on richardiancox.com, on my website. But I will make sure that it's there, and hopefully I'll be able to figure out a way of making it downloadable. Even if we just load it up onto iTunes as a bit of a podcasty thing, as a standalone thing, then people can drop that down into their phones. I have already dropped it down into my phone. It is your ringtone on my BlackBerry. And it's basically, honest to goodness, I miss so many calls waiting to hear my guitar solo. It's so radical. I can't imagine that anybody listening at home right now did not rock their heads back and forth, to and fro, listening to that. I guarantee you everybody is totally hyped. There will be a huge clamoring for that on the page now that we've posted this up. People have listened to it. They're going to desperately, desperately need that. It will be available very shortly as soon as I figure out how the heck to do it. I think it is honestly, honestly, I love that thing. I honestly, honest to goodness, love that thing. When I heard, because you sent it to me and I was out last night and I couldn't listen to it right away.
No,
So
I know
when
we
got
had to
home-
call and bug your wife.
You called and bugged my
Listen,
wife.
listen.
But as soon as I listened to it, I emailed you. The second that I listened to it, I emailed right back and just said, I think this is the greatest thing ever. I can't imagine that our fans are not nodding their heads in agreement right now, immediately thinking about putting on their leather vest and getting out there and rocking it. So, without further ado, put on your Sunday leather, because this is the show. Every week, whack job groups are scared that us doing the rundown will bring an end to the universe, much like the Hadron Collider. It's the rundown. None of that made any sense.
I just gotta get my tinfoil on my head here before we continue recording. Hang on.
That made no sense at all.
I almost got it.
But now that you've got your tinfoil hat on,
Firmly ensconced.
yeah, it's one of my that's one of my favorite freakouts. Is the if we start the Hadron Collider, the whole world's gonna collapse in on itself. Sure, why not? That sounds as good as any other nut job idea out there. All right, speaking of nut jobs and their ideas, number one on the rundown today is Heidi and Spencer. Now, I will admit to never having watched The Hills, to not really knowing anything about them other than I'm aware that they are called Spidey, that he is Spencer Pratt and she is Heidi, and what's her name?
Montag.
Heidi Montag. All right. Heidi Montage of a life gone terribly, terribly wrong. Yeah, other than that, and other than the fact that they are basically universally disliked by everyone who has ever talked about them openly ever, that's really all I know. Oh, and she went through the 10 plastic surgery procedures in a day. They're in the news, and the only thing I really know about them, like I said, is what I, read in the entertainment columns or on TMZ or on Perez Hilton, because to be honest, that's where I get most of this crap anyways. But yeah, apparently now they're divorced, or they're getting a divorce, but now Perez Hilton is claiming that perhaps this is a fake divorce to garner more this and that and the other thing. I don't specifically want to talk about the fake divorce per se. I just want to talk about, as we've talked about before, the phenomenon of people with no talent and with no sort of redeemable qualities whatsoever, sort of being famous. And I think these two really seem to embody that. Did they not? Like, I mean, I definitely know that he's said just ridiculously out there stuff before, and apparently now he's using the time apart from the person who shares the other half of his brain to focus on his career as a screenwriter, which I'm sure will go swimmingly. But outside of that, I don't really know anything about them. So this is what it seems like to me, that in this generation and this sort of group of people that we have out there on the internet and doing whatever the hell they're doing in their fake, real television reality fake shows. That you can be famous for basically being a complete douchebag and being able to grow kind of a ratty ass terrible beard. Sharon, are you more up on this crap than I am, or what?
No, no. I've
Right?
never
It makes
watched The
no
Hills
sense.
either. No, it freaks me out.
Yeah,
It keeps me awake at night. What's happened? Why are we even talking about them? Why is anybody
I
paying
know.
attention to them? Her and her reassembled parts. She's like, what, 23, 24? He's like some gun-toting, crystal spewing crazy ass.
Yeah,
And she goes out and poses with her dog in her pink sweats, and
right.
I'm reading it. I'm just as guilty. I don't get it. And
No.
she allegedly she moved out, and I know everything about them. It's like
I know,
she
that's what
moved.
bugs me. I know this crap. I should know this crap. I don't care about this crap.
She moved in with like some Playboy bunnies and her best friend, and now they're getting their own reality show. Are we so obsessed with
Yeah.
seeing how the Joneses live
Yeah.
that we must be?
Yeah,
Everybody,
yeah.
we must be, because we're all reading it and watching it and giving it the 2 thumbs up or 2 thumbs down. And I don't get it. They quite frankly scare me. I actually feel quite sorry for her.
I feel
Uh,
sorry for well, you know what? You definitely can go that way.
she
I
seemed
think that it seems
lost.
to, yeah. Well, I think most of them do though, don't they? It just seems to be this car wreck. You know what I think? I think that it's like we have this whole generation now. Well, not just generation. We have an entire sort of, planet, if you live anywhere in like sort of a more or less affluent country, that is just so self-absorbed and self-obsessed, and I'm guilty of it myself. For crying out loud, we're doing a podcast just basically so people can hear us talk, but hopefully we're entertaining people as we do it. But at the end of the day, I'm not getting by on my looks.
Look, and I'm not asking to win American Idol because I tried hard.
Well, that's the other thing. There's that sense of self-entitlement, that we're owed something just because we breathe. Lately, my favorite phrase lately is when people are, crap in the bed, right? When they're freaking out about whatever and they've got their FML on their Facebook update thing, is when everything's going wrong. I just want you to remember 2 things. 1, you're not in the Darfur, and 2, you're not currently on fire. So as long as those 2 things aren't really in the equation, you're probably doing okay. I mean, obviously there are exceptions when things go crazy off the rails. But the point of the whole matter is that there are literally people out there, trying to make food out of nothing, and we're sort of, complaining because our
Heidi's
fake
boobs
stars
aren't big enough this week.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Absolutely. So we've got to go through 10 procedures in a day, a la this person. So it just seems a bit odd, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, okay, the Real Housewives of New Jersey / New York / Orange County / Atlanta. This, honestly, okay, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I have never enjoyed Sex and the City. I don't think that any of those characters have any redeeming qualities whatsoever, and not interested in watching it. Never have been, right? But I understand the great appeal for a good half of the population out there, at least. Well, this was something that I guess kind of was the extension of, I guess, the Desperate Housewives thing, and then went into the Real Housewives. So it's all kind of the same strain of thing, right? Of course, they're going to pick the most messed up, most degenerate, most silly, simple-minded, I don't know, fetid, loudmouthed, obnoxious, annoying, again, people with no redeeming qualities whatsoever to be on these shows, because no one would watch the shows about a bunch of really nice people who go and do charity work constantly and, really like their kids and have no plastic surgery. And, no one watches those shows apparently, because we all like to watch these ridiculous shows. Now, there's no appeal for me because I've obviously never been interested in Desperate Housewives or Sex and the City. Now, my wife's status update tonight on Facebook was Becky is going to out herself before Richard does it on his podcast that she actually has been watching The Real Housewives of New York and Orange County because she stumbled upon it and in that grand tradition just wound up getting sucked in and sort of watches it. And I'm like, why do you watch it? And she says, well, it makes me feel better about myself, which, to be honest, is the entire reason I watch Cops, which I
Oh,
love, right? But it's one of those
interesting.
things. Well, it was a joke. I mean, she said it as a joke, really. But I think
Hmm.
there's something to that, and I think that's the appeal. I think that the people who are on these shows really do believe that they're on them because they're important and they're stars. It's no different than the New Jersey thing, the what's it called? Oh, it's just so awful with the
Jersey
situation.
Shore.
Jersey Shore, yeah. Just
Nookie.
awful, awful, awful group of people who really, honestly, just are just vapid, vacuous little dolts, right? Now, they don't know that. No one's actually said that to them. You are a vacuous bunch of
No, they're
idiots,
paying
right?
him a
Like,
ton of money to do it.
absolutely. So if someone gives you money,
Someone had to come up to me in my 20s and said, keep going to the bush party. I'll give you some money and film you. I'll be like, woo!
yeah, totally. Absolutely. And that's okay. But, at the end of the day, when we start to buy into, like I've said before, once you start to buy into your own celebrity, it's kind of, that's when it becomes sad, right? But I think that they don't get that the real reason that people watch them is exactly what Becky was joking about, which is that people watch them to make themselves feel better about themselves because they're looking at a bunch of screw ups, basically, or a bunch of people who are you just shake your head and go, what the hell are you thinking? Why are you saying this? You know what I mean? So I think that might be the
Circus
appeal.
sideshows.
They are absolutely sideshows, but they don't get that they're sideshows. Do you agree?
I do.
Yeah. All right, on to number 4, which oddly enough, I didn't plan this out. The first word of it, never mind. It's just so stupid. Number 4 is an internet app called Foursquare, which I think actually continues sort of to play into our our self-focused aspect, not necessarily self-absorbed. It's an application that, like Facebook or like Twitter, where basically you log on to Foursquare, and it's basically a website that you have accessible on your phone. And when you go certain places that are part of that are listed within the game, you get to, let's say, the Burger King on Ventura if you're in LA, and you check in at the Burger King. And if depending on how many times you check in there, if you check in more than anyone else, you become the mayor of this place. And it's basically a giant game that was conceived by a guy out of Boston who's living in New York, who said he was out running one day and he saw where somebody had drawn a mushroom on the ground, like one of the one-up mushrooms, from Mario Brothers. And so as he was going for a jog, he jumped on it for fun, and then as he ran on, he thought, oh, I should have powered up or whatever it is as he continued on. And being the tech savvy genius that he was, he thought, well, what if I created this app that was basically like a wide running rambling game all over the city where it allows me to check in and connect with my friends, and I can check on Foursquare at any given time and find out where my friends are hanging out around me. So yeah, it works off of I guess the GPS and also where you check in. But it's an interesting app as an extension of like the Facebook thing or the Twitter idea that you're constantly kind of updating people about where you are, which I always think is a great way for burglars to know that you're out and break into your house. But that aside, it's kind of an interesting idea. Sharon, have you checked out Foursquare?
No, no,
No.
no. I'm actually, I'm having a lot of conflicting feelings. First off, speaking of
Yeah.
self-absorption,
Yeah.
there is a really weird Canadian kids show that I've grown to love called
Right.
Foursquare.
Oh, Foursquare is awesome.
So
Yeah.
I assumed we were talking about 1, 2, 3, Foursquare. So I didn't look it up. There was no .com in my show sheet.
I love this so much right now.
Um,
Because my 2 girls love Foursquare. If you are Canadian, you might have seen it. They see it come on. It's a kids show up here in Canada.
Yeah,
It's
and
also a ball game. That's where the name came from. But yeah, so I
that's
love
right.
that
That's
there's this
right.
confusion right now.
Yeah, and we guess which color square is going to come up, and we all yell green, purple. No, it's going to be blue. It's going to be the guys in the really tight pants. It's like weird.
Which is
Um,
Sharon's personal favorite, the dancers.
Oh, my friends, are you here? Hep, hey.
Olé!
Okay,
Yeah.
so I like the idea of the Foursquare game. I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as you said, because I jog now. I can
Yeah.
officially say I went for my first jog that didn't involve walking, except for at the beginning, at the end, and the end, a little
Hey, good
warm up and
girl.
cool down. 30 minutes. That was good for me.
Wow.
I really hurt after. Holy crap! But anyway,
But in a good way.
if I could be stepping on the Mario mushrooms while I was out there, that's really appealing to me. That's really fun. But yet,
Yeah.
I'm also kind of getting a little. Do we all really need to? Like now, I have to, type stuff in when I'm jogging too, and look for this and find out where my friends are.
Well, it's,
I
when
better
you
Twitter it
arrive
and
at
sync it to
places.
Facebook and it just seemed a
Yeah.
little much, but I
It
don't
seems
know.
like a good way to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
As you're Facebooking while you're jogging.
I was trying to power up. For crap's sake.
Well, it's one of those things that when you arrive somewhere, then you check in at that place. So it's not necessarily as you go forward.
So
You know,
urban
it's-
geocaching.
Yeah, it's basically that. I mean, I have a number of people on my Facebook who do it, and I think it's kind of interesting. Looking into it, there aren't a lot of places to check in Vancouver itself. But if you were in a place like LA or New York particularly, because that's where this guy sort of is, and that's where Foursquare is based, is that what's so neat about it, what they were talking about was that if he's at home, or if he's leaving work, he says he leaves work late, the guy who created the thing. He leaves work late, he can check on Foursquare and find out where his friends are and if they're around close to him. So, one of his favorite little bars to hang out at, he can see if he's got friends at the bar before he even goes in there, which is kind of a neat idea. Like if I was a young, single, fancy-free dude, hanging out in New York or something, that might be something that would be kind of appealing to me, no?
Yeah, it would be fun. It would be fun.
Yeah.
Of course, you could just call them, but
Yeah, well, but that's not as cool as showing up unannounced. Hey, Bill, how's it go? Wait a minute, why are you with my girlfriend? Daggone it.
Oh,
That could be a problem,
imagine the
right?
possibilities. Why is my girlfriend's yellow pin showing up beside Bob's red pin at the
Yeah, in
local
his
Motel
house.
8?
Yeah. The Motel 8 somewhere. Yeah, in New Jersey.
The No-Tell Motel.
Why is my girlfriend's pin hanging up, never mind. It's not funny. It wasn't going to be funny.
No.
I was working too hard. Let's move on. Number 5 in the rundown is something that's, I guess, kind of a one-sided conversation here. But I want to talk about Animazement, which is the convention that I was at last weekend. Yeah, woo! Big woo for Animazement. I know we had a lot of people asking questions in the Ask Richashaz about, stories from Animazement. I had a great time. I love that con. There are an amazing bunch of people who run the con. The attendees that came out to see us were just amazing. Everyone was just absolutely so nice. I have probably never eaten as many Krispy Kreme donuts over a 3-day stretch as I did then, mostly because the Krispy Kreme shop was right across the street, and in the green room they had a constant flow of them going, which was beautiful. I just want to give a big thanks and a big shout out to Animazement and everybody involved in it, and I just, they were amazing, and they were animazing, and I had a blast. So hopefully I'm able to go back and see them soon. One of the cool things that happened for me at Animazement was that I wound up meeting Kappa Yamaguchi, who is the Japanese voice actor for 2 characters that I do in English, Inuyasha and Ranma. And I also met Miss Noriko Hidaka, who is the Japanese voice actor for Akane in Ranma and for Kikyo in Inuyasha. And it was a blast. It was great meeting them.
How
It was a
cool
really
was
cool
that?
experience, and I just had an absolutely grand time there. And a big shout out to Raleigh, North Carolina. Beautiful, unbelievably beautiful place. Sharon, have you ever been to North Carolina or anywhere along on the East
No.
Coast there? Not so
No.
much the coast per se, but on the right-hand side of the old continent there.
The
I think I
right-hand
know the
side.
answer to this
I've
one.
only gone left. No, I haven't.
It's
I haven't.
absolutely stunning. Absolutely, like that whole area, North Carolina, and north of that is obviously Virginia, and Virginia borders D.C., and that whole area as it
South would
moves
be
down
South
there.
Carolina.
Yes, South Carolina's, yes, below it, yes. It's absolutely beautiful, gorgeous place, and just an amazing con, and such a fantastic weekend. So
Nice.
thanks again so much, and yeah, we hope to see you all soon. Okay, number 6 on the rundown. This is our website for this week, and it's an interesting little website. I'm gonna pose a question to y'all. This is a website called formspring.me, which I know a lot of people on Facebook are hooked into. A lot of people in general are hooked into, and really, what it is for those people who don't know is basically it's a website that sort of acts like a Twitter feed where you log on and you create your profile, and then people can log on to Formspring and they can go to your profile and they can ask you questions. And what's interesting about the questions are that they can ask them anonymously. So these questions can be very personal, or they can be, not so personal. You can have your name next to them, but it's just kind of an interesting. It's basically truth or dare without the dare, in a way, right? You say truth to everything, and people ask you questions, and you answer them. Obviously, you have the opportunity to not do so, but I guess the point of it is that it's more exciting to do so as you move forward. You have to be careful, I guess, because people can kind of figure out who's asking them their question based on what information, I would imagine. But it seems like a bit of an interesting site that could be something kind of fun and titillating to be a part of. Obviously, there has been some controversy where there have been some bullying incidents or what have you on those sort of things, but nothing, I guess, that's terribly different than Twitter or Facebook. Sharon, have you ever gone on to formspring.me?
I feel like I'm like, no. No, my answer is no. I went on tonight to see what you were talking about, and
Yeah.
it said cats or dogs. Click here, type in your answer. So I did. It was like, we need all this information from you. I'm like, no.
Oh,
And then
that's
it said,
bizarre.
just read the rules and regulations and, say that you viewed it. And so I clicked that, and it was like, no, fill in all this stuff and register. I was like, oh, forget it. What do you
Oh,
what do you want
wow.
to know if I like cats or dogs anyway? But now I get it. So again, I gave up. I'm like, no. I could see again liking it, maybe at another point, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Too much online. Too much. Too
Yeah.
much. It's like
Well, that's
get
what I think.
together
I
with
mean,
your friends and play truth or dare. Spin the bottle, have some
oh,
fun. You
Sharon.
know? I know. I
Wow.
played spin the bottle up
Calm
until
down.
like my mid-20s.
Oh, I know, me too. It was fantastic. Played truth or dare right up to my mid-20s. Absolutely.
But yeah,
Good times had my all.
the anonymity of it to a point I think is fun, and I think titillating is a
Yeah.
great word to use.
Yeah.
But then it's just gonna get kind of creepy. Who's asking you if you,
Well,
you
that's
know,
what,
wear
that's
chaps on a
where I come
Sunday?
out at the
It's
other end of the stick here, is that I'm kind of like, it's sort of interesting. My thought in it is that because we already have Ask Rich Shaz, that, I was thinking maybe as a show, we can create a Formspring profile and have people, and we can have, the last 3 questions be that sort of the 3 anonymous questions of the week, and, and see how they pop
that's
up. But we'll
fun.
put it out there and see if people are
Oh,
interested
see,
in that.
right away I changed my mind. I'm like, yes, let's join. What a great idea.
Well, we'll see. It can be like, the dirty little secrets. That's maybe what we call it. Who knows? We can add a little segment to this. I don't know how popular the trailer reviews are anyway.
Yeah, I know. Nobody ever comments on them. Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows? Maybe we wind up, with dirty little secrets by the end of it. Who knows? But obviously I don't want them to be dirty because it is, it's an all ages kind of show here. But it is an interesting concept that as a
Again,
show.
some dirt is good. Some dirt
Yeah,
is good. It can be
absolutely.
age
Yeah, it just
appropriate dirt.
depends. It just depends how well you scrub after the fact.
Wash your mouth out with soap, young man.
We'll be right back with Ask Rich Shaz. It's more popular than the new guy in prison. It's Ask Rich Shaz. Those new guys are popular in prison, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Now Sharon's thinking about that. Okay, let's move on quickly. The video will arrive in a nondescript paper wrapper. Brown
paper packaging. Not that I know anything about that.
All right, first
I have
up.
kids now.
Yeah, we don't talk about that anymore. You will find nothing in her underpants drawer. Okay, moving on. First question from Leanne Dussol.
Du so?
LOLO. She says she missed the H on both of those.
Hello.
I just finished watching episode 9 1 week after it was posted because she was away on her honeymoon in Toronto. So congratulations. She hopes her question gets in tonight. Well, it will. Okay, her question is brilliant. This definitely follows on the heels of the does virgin wool come from ugly sheep? Her question this week is, if a cannibal was on death row, could he ask for the last guy that was electrocuted for his last meal? Yes, but only in Georgia. No, yeah, I would think that that's completely reasonable. Why not? Yeah, as long as he has some steak sauce that he has smuggled in somehow.
Sure, and especially if the guy before him was like really pissed at the guards and was like, "Eat me" or something. Okay.
Oh, that would be perfect. Yeah,
He said
yeah,
so.
exactly. Especially if the other dude was corn-fed.
Speaking of fun in prison,
Yeah, exactly. If he was kept in a really small stall and fed only grain. All right, Philip Rep. His question isn't really a question. Well, then we'll move on. No, we'll ask. Tell us stories from Animazement. Done. I've done it.
Moving
So I
on.
guess we really will move on. All right. Jessica Ellis asks, if they call it an emergency room, why do you have to wait so long to be seen?
because people go in there who don't have emergencies.
That would be the main reason. Yeah, a lot of drunk people wind up in an emergency room.
Yeah.
It's not an emergency.
And I have a cough. Can I see
Yeah.
a doctor?
Exactly. Well, that's the reason right there. Well, you know what? It's because when you arrive, you're not actually in an emergency state yet, so they make you wait until you are before they see you. Okay, Michelle Desmarais. In case you missed it below. Okay, well, here we go. Here's the question. So we've had question for Rich Shaz. What are your thoughts on laser eye surgery? I am considering this as I hate wearing glasses all the time. I think you were both onto something about behavior in people and glasses. Oh, well, I guess just even being behind glasses. Yeah, they were more aggressive. People with glasses are far more aggressive than people without glasses. So it is
love that.
imperative that you get your laser eye surgery.
That's what's wrong.
I always love the idea of it, like that it's one eye made out of a laser that's shooting at people. But I came to learn that it was not, in fact, that. I don't know. I think it would be it's a kind of an interesting thing, isn't it? You know, I'll tell you a story about a good friend of mine, and he told me this story about when he got his surgery done, that he had to go back because that some odd little, just incredibly rare, but I guess the cornea or whatever it is that they work on had flipped over, and so he was actually seeing double everything. Out of one eye, and he went back
Wow.
and said, I'm seeing double out of one eye. They're like, impossible, that's ridiculous. And eventually he convinced them to look at it, and it had flipped over. So for that, I go, nah. But yeah, I don't know. Sharon, you wear glasses, so what's your opinion on this?
And now, thanks to Michelle, I have a reason for my craziness.
Yes,
It's because
there
I'm
you
looking
go.
through glass all the time.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
constantly angry at people and punching them.
Well, or singing to them. I would like it. I think it'd be great. I've become very used to my glasses, but see, I just recently I'm gonna alienate so many people if I keep talking about my age here, but
Right.
I recently moved into the area that used to be known as bifocals,
Right, yes.
but they're
Well,
not called
you're not into the
progressives.
trifocals yet, so that's
No. They're called progressives now. I have progressive lenses. So
Right.
the thing with surgery is you have to be sure, in all seriousness, that your prescription is unlikely to change,
Yes.
or if you've had a good few years of it staying relatively the same, you're a good candidate for it.
Mm-hmm.
And also be aware of the fact that when you get older and start to become farsighted,
Mm-hmm.
as old age will do, you will still need glasses. The laser surgery can't fix that. And if you get it done, and your prescription changes in any way, it will not change, right? You'll still need glasses.
Right.
So you got to make sure that you're you're
Yeah.
okay.
I say just get brand new eyeballs. Get your eyes reballed.
Ones that shoot lasers.
Yeah, well,
Ba-choo,
with a
ba-choo,
melon.
ba-choo.
No, that's
Yeah.
awful. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine? Yeah, no.
I don't know where you're going with
I don't know
this.
where I'm going
I'm
either.
trying to get on the laser robot superhero thing, and you're like
It
melon
was,
ball
you know
her
what?
eyes out.
It's a
You're
it's a
you're
total.
back in prison. I can't
I
stop
know.
thinking about.
It's all well, you know, I spent a good few years in. No, I didn't. I'm not allowed to talk about it anymore. She also has a suggestion. As part of your wrap up at the end of the show, maybe include some words of wisdom for the day. I thought we already did that, but I guess not. And then she writes, it can be witty.
Listen, Richard, listen to RichardIanCox.com. It does not count as witty repartee.
Yes, it does. It's wisdom-y.
It's not wisdom.
Oh my gosh, I think it is. I think it's the smartest part of your day. Outside of breakfast, the show on RichardIanCox.com
there you go.
is the most
Now
important
that's
part
witty.
of the day. There you go.
Besides
Okay, well then,
breakfast.
there you go. She has an example from The Price is Right. Have your pets spayed or neutered. I encourage you to have your neighbors spayed or neutered. That can, well, it can bring you closer or it can push you further away.
Especially if you live near the Real Housewives.
No, they definitely should be neutered. All right. Shannon Galarno. She sent us an MP3, and I haven't been able to open it. So she has her telling us how to actually pronounce her name. She says episode 9 is by far my fave so far. Chocolate-covered sex is the sex. My goodness. Well, that, and she said in all block capitals, so she's yelling that at us. Is the sex. So there you go. And this is a very Canadian way of putting this. I also wouldn't be offended if you just called me Shannon. Because, well, you failed. The name is from Quebec. Well, I'm telling you what, if it's from Quebec, I'm probably saying it right, Shannon. I'm going to tell you, after all these years. No, I'm joking. Well, listen, as names get anglicized and they go, different ways. So, I don't know. Well, we'll try to get it open. And I'm sorry if we're saying your name, if we're not saying your name the proper way. So we'll continue on. And, she's sending us a message regarding cons. Very excited about that. Her question to us. Yes, sorry.
Can I just say that my grandfather came from Poland into Canada in 1930. His name was Szymon Hlovnia, and he became known as Sam Halonia.
Sam Halonia.
You're like, we don't know what that is, but here you go. Here's your new name. I don't know why they picked Halonia, because that's so much easier, but
No. Yeah, your name is now Gary Shazbutt. That would be awesome.
Shazbutt.
Oh my goodness. Shazbutt. Nothing better. Right?
Thank you.
It's
yes,
Billy.
well, I think so. I kind of like Shazbutt myself.
Billy and Gary Shazbutt. Well, maybe Shannon will just will rename you. You'll be Shannon Shazbutt. In the nicest, but no, we'll figure this out. We'll get to the bottom of this. Her question for this week
delete
is: if you could be any of the characters you voice for a day, who would you be and why? I would be, I keep going to this. I would probably be Ranma because I could just pour water on myself and poof, I'm into a girl. Maybe I would be Normad from Galaxy Angels, where I would basically be a bomb who looked like a fuzzy toaster, which would be a lot of fun. Sharon, do you have a character that you would like to be for a day?
Yeah, I'd go back to Reboot. I'd be Andrea.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of y'all have seen
She's
that,
pretty
but
badass.
I love her. Love her.
And listen, she was blue before Avatar ever came out.
Well, there you go.
Right? So she's ahead of the curve. Ahead of the curve. Okay, Michael Christopher Kemp. Richard, are you a wizard?
No.
What? What? I am totally a wizard. I have my degree from an online wizard university.
He's the Wizard of Waverly Place.
There you go. I'm a wizard from Waverly Place. Sure. Sure. I'm going to say I'm a wizard. Because who is anyone to tell me I'm not? I can be anything I want to be. All right, Amy Jean Gordon of the Woo fame. All right, who apparently hurt her ankle doing a chasse last week after we'd said that our favorite dance move was a chasse. And the best part was her friend got on Facebook to go, ha, 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 ha. She just hurt her ankle doing a chasse. And she wrote back immediately, ow, it hurt. Shut up, you big jerk. And And I read that in the airport just before I jumped on a plane to go to Raleigh. So that kind of cracked me up. So thanks, guys, for that. Thanks for hurting yourself,
I hope you're
Amy.
feeling better, but
yeah,
that's
me too.
funny.
But good Lord, is that funny? We need video of that.
Yeah.
All right, she says, what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you? I got to tell you, Amy, that might be your most embarrassing thing because now it's on the show. I got to be honest with you. As a professional actor, I pretty much get embarrassed for a living. So I can't think off the top of my head what the most embarrassing moment I've ever had. I know I've had a few over the years. Sharon, do you have any that stick out in your head of, kind of embarrassing moments in your life?
I've had a lot.
Can we talk about any of them?
I tend to block them out, most of them.
Right.
But there is one, unfortunately, that always comes into my head whenever this question comes up, and I
Right.
don't even know if it's that funny. It was because that's the whole point to my life. Just be funny.
That's my entire
Don't be
reason for
real.
existence.
Just be.
Yeah.
I was in high school and I was dating a guy that I thought was, just everything. I was probably, remember, I was like 16 or 17 maybe.
Right.
And I had
Right.
started going to the gym because, every 10 years, whether I need it or not, I think I should exercise. And
Right.
I was at his house and I was trying to show off how strong my abs were.
Right.
This is all very innocent. His parents were there. It was like not, I convinced him. Nice girl. Not too bright, but a nice girl. I convinced him it would be a good idea for him to do a headstand on my stomach.
Oh
Well,
my gosh.
if you clench, otherwise known as flexing, that's the technical workout term, your stomach, and somebody puts great pressure on it, what do you think happens?
Oh
I
no.
cracked myself up. Now I cracked myself up 20 years later, but I can't forget about
Oh,
it. Yeah,
that's
I
awesome.
farted
That's awesome.
loudly and
Oh my
in his
gosh. Well,
general direction.
if it if it makes you feel any better, it didn't happen to me, but it happened when I was in the Boy Scouts
To
many,
a
many
friend of
years
a
ago.
friend.
No. When I was in the Boy Scouts many, many years ago, many years ago, we were doing we were going through the first aid thing and learning how to do, chest compressions and all this kind of stuff, right, for CPR. And so we were doing this for this kid, and every time we did the chest compression on him, he farted without fail, and we wouldn't let him get up. We were just every over and over and over again. And oh, good Lord, it was just honest to goodness one of the funniest things going. Holy cow. I mean, admittedly, he wasn't in front of, the hot girl that he liked, but
I was
oh
trying
my
so
gosh.
hard to impress him. I don't know if it's because I have like a 2-year-old son now and 2 kids with GI problems, so
Yeah.
farting is commonplace.
Yeah.
But it cracks me up. Like
It's
nobody's
funny.
business
I
now.
know. I don't care what anyone says. It
A
is
good fart
funny.
joke.
A good fart joke is funny. Farting is funny. It's just
You
funny.
don't want to be 17 and farting on the head of the guy that you're trying to
No, that's
impress.
like that's the last thing you want to do in front of his parents, who I guarantee you still tell that story. All right. All right, Marcus Steven Alvarez Munier. He writes, "Hi, Richard. Thank you so much for answering my question and pronouncing my full name correctly. Quite frankly, I do not know if I'm Canadian. My girlfriend's brother says I look it. What the heck does that mean? I don't know what we look. Do we have a look? Do we really? It's all because we wear toques. Those are those woolly hats you wear on your head.
It's the toque and beer look.
Yeah, we all have a
Eh?
toque and a beer constantly. Right on, eh? Whenever I'm holding a beer, my girlfriend's brother says I look Canadian, eh?
Don't forget
Uh,
your hockey stick.
So he has a couple questions for us. First, if you weren't a voice actor, what career path would you have chosen? Well, here's a terribly boring answer for you. I was getting all the schooling that I needed so that I could follow a career into law. That was what I was doing before I booked the Black Stallion when I was 16 years old. I was in IB, International Baccalaureate, which is basically like an AP program. And I was planning on going to university and eventually going into law school. Sharon?
An astrophysicist.
Awesome.
I'm actually not kidding.
No, I don't believe that you
I'm
would
not
be.
kidding.
You're a big fan
I
of all those guys.
yeah,
Mr.
of all those
Sagan.
guys.
Well, like Mr. Hawken and everything. You talk about him quite a bit.
Yeah, I got my first real fancy telescope this year too.
Ooh.
Yeah. If I obviously maybe to some don't have the smarts. But yeah, love physics, love astronomy.
Well, and
Geek.
astronomy loves you.
Yeah.
All right, and second, do you think the world will end in a zombie apocalypse? If not, then how? Well, maybe we should turn to our resident astrophysicist. I don't believe it will end in a zombie
I set
apocalypse. That
myself
seems
up.
rather unlikely. Well, they say that the universe is not. Well, originally, they had thought that the universe was expanding, would get to an end point, and then would snap back, sort of an elastic effect. Now they're more than convinced that it's continually expanding and will eventually get to a point where it expands beyond its capacity, and then we break up and break down at a molecular level, and basically we'll all sort of just go away. So that's kind of how I think that if the world does end, then that's most likely how it will go. Sharon, or our star could go supernova before then. So either way, there's a terribly truthful answer in there. Sharon, do you have an opposing opinion? Are you more of the zombie apocalypse school of thought?
In a way, depends which country starts it. Yeah, I think we're gonna blow ourselves up.
Lisa Williams, I know this seems like a strange question, but do you guys have customized ringtones? And if so, what song or sound do you have? Customized? Well, I didn't go to a place that customized it for me. I brought in my chopper, and while they were customizing that, I took my phone down the street to a customizing shop and said, "Hey, can you customize my ringtone?" No, just joking. My ringtone is actually, I don't remember what the name of it is, but it's actually the closing credit music off of Ocean's 11. I love that song. It's just cool and fantastic. So that's my ringtone. I also have one for when the agency calls me, and it's the Flight of the Conchords guys. It's the Conchords going, "It's business. It's business time. I know what you're talking about. You're saying it's time for business because it's business time." That's what I have on mine. Sharon, what are your ringtones? Well, after today, your ringtone is obviously going to be Sir Robin, like everybody else listening.
Yes.
But what are your ringtones?
I don't know. I like the classic old-fashioned. No, I like the old-fashioned phone.
That could be your new ringtone.
But this,
no,
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 just
no.
no. Why the hell are you on the radio or the podcast if all you have to say is no?
So you've got the old-fashioned ring, because I for years had the actual like old-fashioned like the bell ring.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I'm
Bring,
actually
bring, bring,
contemplating getting this new product that Roots has out. The jury's still out on whether cell phones cause brain cancer or whatever kind of cancer.
Well, the last one said that it was inconclusive.
Inconclusive. You might get a tumor, you might not. Take your chances.
Yeah.
So Roots has come out with this thing that protects you from the radiation.
Right.
And it's basically
It's a giant metal toque. Yeah.
It's a big old-fashioned handset, like a big, huge honking one with the curly Q cord that you plug into your cell phone. So I want to have the old-fashioned ring and walk down the street. It's like the old battery packs we used to wear, I want to walk down the street with this big, huge honking handset. It's like the complete antithesis of the Zoolander phone. It's not so tiny. It's like you've got a huge handset. You're like, yeah, hey, how you doing? Yeah, what's going on?
That would be fantastic. In the old days, but when I had a pager and I had a car phone, I actually looked into getting one of those phones that like were actually literally the like you said, the briefcase with the phone on it.
Yeah.
And I nearly bought one. It would have been ridiculous.
And you had to have 3 big battery packs on your belt.
Totally. You had to have a Sherpa who carried the phone for you.
You pulled out your shoe. Hello. Yeah. I don't know.
All right, Michael Parrish. If you were given a magic whoopee cushion to use on anyone on the planet without them knowing it was you, who would you use it on and why? Sharon Alexander. Oh, crap, don't tell her. Well, Sharon is always up for a good fart joke, and I think Sharon would really appreciate the magic whoopee cushion if I broke it out on her. Sharon, who would you use a whoopee cushion on?
You.
Wicked! Awesome. We'll trade farts.
Right
oh my
in the
gosh,
middle of an intro.
You're listening to the
on RichardIanCox.com.
Diana Robles asks if I will be attending the 2010 Anime Expo coming up this year. I'm not going to, unfortunately. I really would love to, but it just didn't work out this year. And you know what? Hopefully next year. Sharon, now you have not been to Anime Expo, but it is the biggest anime convention in the U.S. as far as I understand in Anaheim. And it is huge, this thing. I went one year and it was amazing. We had a great time, checked out Disneyland and the whole thing, but it was just absolutely massive. It actually coincided with the release of the last box set of Ranma, and so Viz Media, they had rented out the House of Blues right next to Disneyland. And so we had this awesome party with our little House of Blues backstage sort of stickers and all this kind of stuff. And we went up onto the roof and saw the fireworks go off from Disneyland because it also happened to be the 4th of July that weekend. So it was an
Wow.
amazing experience. It was super cool. Totally felt like a rock star. And we had a blast. So I would love to go and do Anime Expo. Maybe one of these days we'll wind up being invited as the show on MrDandCox.com to Anime Expo. Maybe, a whole
Because
bunch of
we
other different
want it
cons.
bad enough.
Oh, we do want it. That would be great. All right, wrapping up the questions this week. Sarah Morris asks, why do we say slept like a baby when most babies wake up every couple of hours? Yeah, exactly. And their britches are full of poop. So, so unless you're having some nasty dreams or you're forcing out a joke that didn't work. Yeah, well, I think that because once a baby gets sleeping, they're just so darn cute and they seem so darn
Yes.
peaceful. But you're
Yes.
right, their amount of time for sleeping isn't always the biggest stretch of time. Sharon, do you agree? What do you think?
I
What
was
what do you
gonna
think?
I
What's
was
your reasoning behind
No,
this?
I was gonna I was gonna say the same thing. I gotta stop that. It's not funny. I was gonna say the same thing. It's because when they actually are asleep and they don't want to
Yeah.
be woken, they're just the most beautiful, blessed little peaceful creatures
Yeah.
without a care in the world.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yes.
on that note, we'll be right back with the trailer reviews. All right, because we're too lazy to leave the house, and the court doesn't let me go anywhere anymore, it's the trailer reviews. Number 1 this week is a movie called The Adjustment Bureau. It's out September 17th. It stars Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, and Terrence Stamp. This is a movie that is a bit of a sci-fi kind of thing, and it basically follows a man, Matt Damon, who going through his life meets this lovely young girl, and things seem to seem to turn to love, and it goes forward swimmingly and nicely until suddenly a group of men wearing fedoras turns up and basically tell him that he's not living his life according to their plan. And basically, it turns out that these guys are basically a bunch of architects, really, of everyone's life plan and sort of make sure that everyone follows the proper plan. And because of some sort of little misnomer in the middle of all of it, he is not following his plan anymore because he was meant to only meet this woman and not see her again. But because some turn of fate happened to intervene, it went off the rails and in a nice way, and they're basically trying to get it back on top. So it's basically about the plan. The trailer for me was very intriguing. It looked awfully slick. It brought up the thought of, destiny versus choice. And for me, someone who, thinks about that kind of stuff a lot, it's a very appealing sort of concept. I think the movie will be pretty darn good. I am a fan of Matt Damon, I will say that. I'm also a fan of Terrence Stamp and a number of different actors within that movie that I really quite like. For me, I liked the trailer. I gave it an A. I gave the movie an A minus, sort of hedging my bet just a little bit, but I liked it. I liked sort of thematically, I liked what it brought up. I liked that it's a sci-fi movie that doesn't remove itself too far from sort of the present day look. It's not all about, floating cars and all that kind of stuff. So I quite liked it. Trailer for me, like I said, an A, and the movie an A minus. Sharon?
I loved it. I got completely sucked in, but I like that stuff
Yeah.
too. And if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
in the Christian religion, your
Yeah.
life it's mapped out. It's written down in a big book, and I like the kind of
Yeah.
modern day take on it. These men are basically telling him that if you deviate from what we have, and they show him this
Mm-hmm.
very detailed map of his life, as you said,
Yes.
you will not achieve what you were supposed to achieve. You will not be where you're
Yes.
at, and she will not. So the best thing you can do is walk away. And he chooses love. And that
Yes.
sounds kind of sappy, but I thought the trailer, even in and of itself, was done very differently than most, and it was very
Yeah.
slick, and it was, but not in a bad way, slick. In a
No, 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 no.
I liked it. I liked it very much. The
Hmm.
trailer, I gave an A plus, so not too far off you.
Oh, right on.
And the movie, I have very high hopes for too. But I kind of hedged my bets too. I gave it an A.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I
I
love
gave
that
it.
sort
I
of thing.
think it will be an A.
I gave it an A.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I said, if anyone wants to know anything about me, it's about I have this idea of you have one life and you gotta live it to your fullest extent, and you only get one go round. So it really is about yeah, and people not sort of imposing their view of what your life should be on you. So I thought it was great.
Interesting idea. Really interesting.
Subject matter totally appealed to me. Really, really liked it. Okay, number 2 is a movie called Get Him to the Greek that opens today, as a matter of fact. Well, it opens as we're recording it. By the time this is up, it probably was opened 3 months ago. Um, but it stars Jonah Hill and Russell Brand. Now, I will say, out of the box, I've never necessarily found Jonah Hill to be super funny. I've
Mm.
always found him quite, I get it. I get it. But I
Well
always kind
said.
of go, a little bit in terms of what he's offering. That's not to say that he's not probably a fantastic guy, and I'm sure he would watch my stuff and go, I'm not getting it. But I'm sure I would like him. I just, I've typically gone, I'm not so sure. Russell Brand, on the other hand, I've always found to be quite funny, particularly in interviews and whatnot. And he has that charm, because he's actually quite eloquently spoken and he's a smart guy. He is the quintessential messed up rock star in some respects, like he's a recovering addict and whatnot. He's got into trouble back in the UK in terms of some things that he said and did and got him banned from BBC for a while.
Yeah, like
Uh,
let somebody masturbate him and on his TV show.
oh, well, I didn't know about
Oh,
that, but there you go.
crazy. In the height of his like addiction, his show was nuts.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So to
And
speak.
he's a bit bizarre. He's also about to be married to Katy Perry, who by the way I think is fabulous. But but I will say that watching this, Russell Brand, as I said, is funny and charming, and Jonah Hill within this. Given the subject matter, and I will say that I don't usually like party movies. I don't usually find them particularly funny. I always kind of find them a little bit silly, but probably because I don't really identify with it because I don't, I never kind of really go crazy. But I will say that the trailer got me. I had some good laughs. And I will also say that Jonah Hill made me laugh quite a few times in it. I fear disappointment in terms of the actual movie itself, but hedging a little bit, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say the trailer made me giggle. I gave it an A. I think the movie, if it hits on the right things, because it's a great idea, if it hits on the right things at the right time, I think that you might see an A or maybe a B plus out of the movie. Sharon?
I agree with just so much of what you said. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a big Russell Brand fan too. And he was just so charming in this.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
liked
totally.
it. I thought it was funny, and I don't need to. I agree with you. Uh, I gave the trailer a B plus, and I gave the movie a B plus.
Right
And I
on.
don't usually like party movies either. Like I said, I just agree all around. It could have
Yeah,
been very slapstick and very, and I don't know if it
very
was just
much.
bringing a Brit in, or somebody who
Yeah.
seems to
Well, he's
kind of
got the
get it
street
more.
cred as a crazy party animal rock
Yeah.
star. And I gotta say, I have to say, in this cleaned up Disneyfied world that we live in, and not to say that I don't like Disney, but the crazy mixed up, sort of cleansed
You just don't want to
Disneyfied
live
world,
there every day.
I kind of pine for a crazy rock star. I'm kind of just like, my gosh, the Jonah, what are they called? The Jonas
Jonai.
Brothers. Great. They're great, and Justin Bieber, and it's all great and it's fabulous. But like, for the love of, like, really, I just need a little bit of like kind of rock star.
Some
We haven't had that
debauchery
in a while.
again. Some dirt is
Yeah.
good. If
Yeah.
if this was an Adam Sandler movie, you could take the exact
Yeah.
same movie and put that kind of thing into it. I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, shut up, D.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you. All right, our number 4 movie is Karate Kid,
Ugh.
which is out June 6th, and it stars Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. Now, let me tell you, right off the bat, I have a problem with it that I kind of can't get over, which is they're not doing karate. They're doing kung fu. So why can't you call it the Kung Fu Kid? It still rolls off the tongue. Everyone will get the connection to the Karate Kid and the Kung Fu Kid.
Yeah.
That's an easy fix. So why do we call it the Karate Kid and just go, well, it's the Karate Kid, even though it is clearly Kung Fu? He says he's teaching him Kung Fu, and there you go. Now, listen, I like Jaden Smith. I think Jaden Smith is a good little actor. He's really strong. I love Jackie Chan. I think Jackie Chan is
I
fantastic.
love Jackie Chan too.
Huge fan of Jackie Chan. I did have a concern with the whole man beating up kids part of the trailer. Because if you remember in the original Karate Kid, when Mr. Miyagi came in and dispatched the bad guys, he was dispatching a group of high school seniors, right? So that conceivably they could have been 18 years old, and there was a fair fight on this. These kids that are beating up Jaden Smith are literally like 13-year-old children. And he turns around and beats them all up. I'm like, what the? That's child abuse. I like even if you're protecting this kid, for the love of Mike, like what the heck, right? Anyway, so that's a small thing. Listen, the trailer was cliche and it was cheesy. I will say there's still something about it. Like it didn't feel super cleaned up for me. There were elements that kind of resonated.
Well, it's a great classic story.
It is a fantastic classic story. I love the imagery, like within Beijing and the outskirts. I thought that was really cool. It did appeal to me. I thought the trailer was, probably a B minus. I think the movie will be a C plus, not a lot further than that. And let me say again, I like everybody involved with it. I love the concept, love the story. I just have such a hard time getting past the fact that they're calling it the Karate Kid when they're doing Kung Fu. And it just, to me, is one of those classic, typical Hollywood things where they like, oh, well, no one will get it, so we're just gonna... It doesn't make any sense to me. So, that being said, there's still something that, that rings for me. But I'm having a tough time getting past that. Sharon?
As soon as I started watching it,
Yeah.
my husband leaned his head over my shoulder. He couldn't hear anything. He couldn't. But the trailer came up, and I had my headphones on, and I was listening. And he just grabbed my pen and wrote down Kung Fu.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Why didn't you call it like you say, the Kung Fu Kid?
It is so easy. It's like it's still alliteration. We will all still get it, if you make the reference.
Yeah, and again, I could just say no or agree with you because that's me
Yeah.
tonight. But I thought it was very pretty, very gorgeous. Love Jackie Chan.
Looked gorgeous. Yeah,
No
yeah,
Pat Morita, and Jaden Smith does a good job. But I was like, ugh, no. And the girl seems way too old for him. And it was just, again, I called it a classic story. I mean that, relatively
Yeah.
speaking, it was a very well done.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Classic in the sense that if you believe, like Commedia dell'arte, there's like 4 stories, it's, but no, you know what? I turned it off. I didn't read it. I shut it off. It's like, no, go rent
there
the
you go.
original Karate Kid. The
original Karate Kid was pretty good. Although I
the
have
trailer
to
was
say,
pretty.
in terms of the actual performance of the martial art, Jaden Smith looked pretty darn good. Like he had done a lot of that training. Like his extension, holy crap, that was amazing. Ralph Macchio, I don't think ever pulled that off. But
Because he wasn't doing Kung Fu.
no, he was not. He was doing a totally different thing. Well, that's it for trailer reviews. We'll be right back to wrap it up. That's our show for this week, number 10. Sharon, we have hit double digits. From here on in, it's only a few until we're hitting triple digits. It's just not that far away.
You do math like me, which is why
I
I'm
know.
not an astrophysicist. It's only
Another
3
90 and we'll be into
episodes.
triple digits.
Yes.
Listen, we love doing this show, and we love that people are listening and are part of
Yeah.
this. Again, check us out on our fan page on Facebook. Join us if you feel so inclined. If you like what we do, put the call out. Let other people know that we're out here. Obviously, you can listen on the website, richardiancox.com, or you can download us from iTunes. And, you can follow me on Facebook at Richard Ian Cox or on Twitter at Richard Ian Cox. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm trying to think of the words of wisdom that Michelle sort of suggested that we might put out there. I'm going to say, don't spay and neuter your neighbors because they'll probably get a little cheesed off about it. Sharon, do you have any words of wisdom for us this week?
No.
All right, then. Well, listen, I'll try with this. Don't forget to wash behind your ears, because if you don't, potatoes will grow there.
Don't run with scissors in your hand.
Don't run with scissors. No, absolutely not.
Close the fridge door.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Try not to have any dental work done out of the back of an abandoned car if you can help it. And yeah, put the cap back on the toothpaste when you're finished.
And the toilet seat down, please.
And can I just say, on behalf of all of the men as well, because put the top of the toilet seat down too, ladies. Don't leave that back part up, because you're looking into a toilet. It's kind of disgusting.
Close the whole thing.
Yeah, if we all just close the whole thing, it just saves everybody a lot of trouble, and then we all have a task to do when we're finished.
Now that is words of wisdom.
There you go. Words of wisdom from Richard Shaz. Well, for the show, I'm Richard Ian Cox.
I'm Sharon Alexander.
Join us next week. Good night.